Welcome to Technology in the Classroom. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 1, and we're going to continue with Part 2. This is the second of two recordings on Chapter 1. One of the things we're going to talk about is on page 7, about teacher-centered instruction. Now, teacher-centered instruction is where the teacher is the center of the instruction. The students are listening, maybe taking notes, but they're not really active as they would be in a student-centered instruction. Now, technology and media can support the presentation of an instruction, such as using a PowerPoint show, using a whiteboard. Look at page 7 for additional examples. And teacher-centered instructions can enhance and promote learning, and effectiveness depends on planning and selection, and the teacher is always the center of learning. The teacher is asking questions, students are answering them. The teacher is demonstrating, the students are watching. The teacher is writing on the whiteboard, the students are taking notes. The teacher is always leading the instruction and is the center of the instruction. Now, also on page 7, it says, what is a digital teacher? Now, teachers use digital tools to do what? To expand and enhance teacher capabilities. And they provide interactive instruction. And they use personal response systems and mobile tools. We will talk about personal response systems a little bit later. That's not going to be covered on the quiz this time. And also, digital teachers participate in a global community of practice, which means they have ways of they're reading blogs, they're looking at what other teachers are doing and posting online. They have what they call personal learning networks. The other thing a digital teacher uses is the Assure model, and they follow the EDCC, the Technology for Standards for Teachers. Check your reading on page 7 and 8. Define interactive instruction. You should know what interactive instruction is. And you want to define a personal response system, a PRS, and define community of practice. So those are the 3 questions on page 7 and 8 to review. Listed down here, the National Education Technology Standards, which are also the ISTE standards. The NETS-T provides 5 basic guidelines for becoming a digital teacher. Review these 5 things. You should know what they are. You should know what the guidelines are for teachers. And then the student use of technology and media is on page 10 and 11. You should know what student-centered instruction, where the primary users are the students. Where the teacher becomes the facilitator instead of the center. The students are working on projects together, and they're working cooperatively. What is the role of technology and media in this? Is to teach part of or the entire instructional task, such as a web quest, and we've looked at the web quest, and you can see how the web quest can teach part of or entire instructional task. And then what is a digital student? A digital student is a seamless component of learning. That's the digital students using interactive tools, and they're interacting with each other. Check page 10 and 11 to go over this. Okay, on page 10 and 11, you should be able to answer these 2 questions. Describe the role of the teacher when the instruction is student-centered. Describe the role of the teacher when the instruction is student-centered. Okay, to help you with that answer, the teacher becomes the facilitator of knowledge. Number 13 lists 4 mobile wireless devices used by students in and out of school. Check page 10 and 11 and see if you can find the 4 mobile wireless devices they speak about. Going to page 11, you're going to find the National Education Technology Standards for Students, the NETS-S, which has now been changed to ITSE-S, provides the 6 critical skills needed to achieve success in school and in future careers. Review these 6 critical skills and you see that they match up with some of the teacher skills, such as the teacher models digital citizenship, the student practices digital citizenship. Now we go on to page 12 and 13. 21st century learning environments. Okay, there's a shift from traditional teaching strategies to digital approaches. Change is described as four-step process. Now, you'll see that they talk about these four things, and the best way to talk about them is to go to the next slide. You'll see this chart there where it says phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. And what is first? Phase 1 is dabbling. I'm going to go back a little bit. Phase 1 is dabbling, randomly adding technology here and there in the lessons. The second phase, you'll see here it says old things, old ways. And old things, old ways as examples use PowerPoint to give notes instead of on a blackboard or a whiteboard. So instead of me writing on the board or writing on, what I'm going to do is use a PowerPoint instead. So it's like old things, old ways. And old ways, new ways. Old things, new ways. Sorry, I said that wrong. Old things, new ways is phase 3, where you're going to do old things, but you're going to find new ways to do it with technology, teaching the same old things. And finally, phase 4 is teaching new things and new ways. So these are the four phases of going from a traditional to a digital classroom. And then how do classrooms achieve phase 4? Okay, that's what this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at the bottom, learning can be face-to-face, distance, or blended. Blended means face-to-face and online combined. Moving on to page 13, the changing role of the Media Center. The Media Center is no longer what it used to be. It is no longer the library, which is for reading. It now has other things. Inside the Media Center, you'll find internet-connected computers. You'll find online resources, digital books, reference materials, educational software, and you'll have classroom support materials. So you as a teacher can go to the Media Center to get classroom support materials. And the expanding role of the library media specialist is the librarian is no longer called the librarian. The librarian is now called the library media specialist, and is ever expanding what they do. Going on to page 4 is Common Core Learning Standards. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock, I'm sure you've heard of the Common Core Learning Standards. These are standards that have been adopted by most of the states in the country. Virginia is not one of them. They have their own standards. And in the CCLS, there are embedded technology components. So technology is part of the standards. You'll find it built right into different standards. There's a teacher's choice when designing lessons. Technology can be incorporated as necessary. And you can look at corestandards.org to learn more about that. Okay? And this is Common Core Learning Standards. This is what's important. It's an emphasis on higher level learning. The tasks are more complex. It isn't just memorization. Communication and collaboration is very important, and using collaboration in the classroom. Critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making are part of CCLS. There is a technology component which is part of the standards, and is flexibility to design instruction. In other words, teachers know what the objectives are, know what they need to teach students, and they have the flexibility to do their own design for the lessons. Copyright law says on page 14 to 16, and these are some things that you need to know. You need to know this: legal rights to an original artwork. It protects the financial interests of the creators, producers, and distributors of original works of information and art. Remember that. It protects the creators, the people who make it. It financially protects them. So Now, with the internet, it's real easy to copy things. Easy to copy and paste. Easy, lots of ways to illegally copy. All materials copyrighted unless stated otherwise. Assume that it's copyrighted unless stated otherwise. Teachers need to be role models for this. You need not to copy and paste, and you need to also respect copyright laws. Okay, educators in the copyright law. Yes, teachers can get fines. Yes, they can have jail time. But there's something called fair use. And that means that there are copyright exceptions for teachers and students. Depending on the nature of the copyrighted work, you can use portions of work for educational purposes. The big thing that differentiates fair use is you can use it for educational purposes, and it can't be publicized, can't be published worldwide. You can publish it online, but it has to be a closed publishing to students. And you can't make money from it. You can't turn around and say it's your work and make money from it. But it's fair use. You can use a lot of things for use in the classroom. Seek permission. You'd be very surprised if you seek permission for educational use. You do get it. And changing formats. The only way you can change formats for copyrighted material is to help students with disability, such as taking, for a student who is blind, you can have the web page read to them using different programs. You can convert the web page into Braille for students, or page into Braille. That's not changing the material, it's just changing the format for someone with disabilities to access it. All right. Can you answer these questions? How would you describe the status of technology gap in today's pre-K to 12 schools? Okay, we talked about technology gap and digital divide in the first part of this chapter. So how would you describe it? The second question is, what are the differences between technology and media? Also discussed in the first part of this chapter. The next question is, what are the 6 categories of media and the key factors of each? Okay, we discussed that. The next question is, how would you describe the 3 types of instruction, face-to-face, distance, and blending, as they relate to the classroom continuum? So make sure you know what those are, and then what are the key concerns regarding copyright law for educational use? Okay, well, we've reached the end of chapter 1. Go over chapter 1A and chapter 1B. Go over both sections because both of them will be on the next quiz. See you in class. Bye, Professor Doty.